La 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 la
La,
la.
la, la.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, hello everyone. I just finished with Susan Lee. Wasn't she good? Really good, really good. Um, Now I've got the man himself. Yes, he's changing his days very soon. He's leaving me, but he'll be back on another time and another day. Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm fine. Steve, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Tired.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Why's
got
that?
another. Well, I've got. I've done 4 shows so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got another two to do, and that'll be it for me.
Ooh, stamina.
Oh yes. And I'm kind of like going to go at the moment. So, so what I want to talk about tonight is depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we all kind of like. I'm sorry for being. Because what I want to try to do is do follow on like for mental health and what's
Yeah.
underneath the umbrella of mental health. So, depression. Now, depression can be really, really serious for some people. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
when you're really depressed, you get your mood swings. You get your you get you do get all your mood swings. How do you, when you suffer with depression, how do you cope?
Um, I tend to crash at the very
Okay.
start of it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I tend to just crash into it. It's very, very full on, and everything's just going off in different directions. I become irrational with my thoughts. I calamitize everything. I don't want people to give me advice. I want to be left alone. I want the world to just stop so I can get off for a minute and get back on at my own speed. And then usually it's quite um, it's quite a heavy process after that initial crash. The
Mm,
whole thing of recovering and processing what it is that might have happened.
mm.
Um, and then,
What's it like when you're in your family environment, say,
mm,
and kind of like you got your partner around you or your children around you, and all
yeah,
of a sudden you feel low. What happens? What happens then?
um, what I tend to do is I tend to shut down. I don't. I become very inward. I don't talk, um, and I can become irritable. And I'm not a particular. I mean, I don't run around screaming and swearing and I don't have manic fits where I just break down crying in front of everybody. I tend to do that on my own, but that's how I appear to the outside world. You can tell, I think, when I'm depressed,
Right,
because like I said, I don't communicate, I don't talk. I have
right,
no. I just shut down.
right.
It's
Okay.
very very peaceful. Um, it's a peaceful. How can I put? Not I don't want to use the word vibe because that sounds a bit flippant, but it there's no manic behaviors on my part. You tend to get that when the crash happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's it. The actual depression aspect of it tends to follow that. So I think the crash, because I suffer from anxiety quite badly, and I have done all my life. And like I say, I think all that gets mixed up in that. But I also, I mean, I don't have to have a calamitous event to make me feel depressed. Sometimes I can just feel depressed, and I don't know why. I just feel down, and I just feel like I've no energy for anything or any enthusiasm for anything, and I'll shut down. I'll completely shut down when that happens from time to time.
Yeah. Do you get panic attacks?
Yeah, I have done. I don't. The more I think, I've had panic attacks, and I know that they're very, very, very frightening. And even when you know what it is, it's very, very frightening. But I tend to have more just moments of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it's not really a panic attack. I don't feel like I'm dying. I don't have the labored breathing. I don't have the fear that I'm going to be sucked into something completely scary. But I do have my moments where I'll panic and, Where have you gone, Steve? Are you still there?
I'm still here.
All right.
I'm still here. Don't worry. I put you on. It's because I haven't had time for my tea yet.
So, so you're eating a pork pie?
No. I'm eating something, but the trouble is, with anything, I used to get what you call panic attacks, where I could be worried about something, and all of a sudden, my breathing's out of control, and I'm panicking, and so I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack, and it does. It really, when you get that panic attacks, you think your life is over done with, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I think I've had about half a dozen of those very extreme reactions in my life. The whole thing of of the anxiety attacks that I get, they're almost very comforting to some degree, because they're very, very familiar. And when I say comforting, I'm able to use some things I've picked up from therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, and I'm actually able to calm myself down and to talk myself around. And that's the comforting aspect of it, because I know what I'm dealing with, and I know.
Do you ever get angry, Mark?
Angry, yes, yeah. Everybody gets angry. I tend to get more outraged than angry, I think. I don't do confrontation. I don't feel the need to shout at the top of my voice and have everybody hear me and to understand and to stop and listen. I see absolutely no point in kicking up a fuss if I get bad service in a shop or in a restaurant or in a pub. I'll simply just not go there again. Some people get angry and they have to. It helps them to, externalize the rage that they're feeling. The anger that I feel, it tends to be, again, like the depression. It tends to be kept within, and I'll process it in my own way.
And with your music, say like if you're singing, you're out doing a gig, say, and all of a sudden you start singing like I don't know, a slow one, smoochy for all the lovies out there or whatever they are. Do you ever get depressed then when you kind of like singing a song?
No. It's I'm very fortunate that I've yet to become jaded by what I do, and I find sad songs if that's what we're talking about here, I
Mm.
find sad songs about lost love, broken relationships. I find them quite moving and quite beautiful.
All right.
And at the end of the day, it's
Why I mentioned it for is because when I listen to songs like any love songs or anything like that, I sometimes have flashbacks,
mm,
and
yeah.
I
They,
remember that a certain song. Say, I remember that song. That was 1986 when I was, you know, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I mean I do that, and
Yeah.
that's the. I think there's a huge difference then between singing a song and performing, and on a stage and singing a song, because it's um it's quite uh it's quite an unreal thing to be on stage and to sing all night. And you ha- I feel I sometimes feel quite detached from who I am, um and what I'm feeling. It tends to be quite a good thing. It could be a release. I've never ever felt depressed singing a sad song. Like I say, I sometimes get very moved by the beauty of the message, because it's the words are beautiful, or the tune could be beautiful, and um, I'll try to put some. I'll try to channel into whatever the message of the song is. Not to the point where I'll break down crying, or I'll have a particularly sad face, what have you. I don't, I'm not crass in that way. But listening to music is a completely different thing. And there is some music which, the moment it starts, I've cried,
Mm.
and it can
Yeah.
be a memory that's done it, or it can be just the absolute beauty of the singer's voice.
Mm.
Um, it could be a happy association. Music, I find music a very, very, very.
Therapeutic.
It's therapeutic, but there's something about music which just, I don't know. I just enter music in a very, very full on way. I
Mm.
immerse myself in it.
Mm. How do you cope when you're sitting here now and all of a sudden someone puts a song on, or your partner puts a song on? How
Hmm.
do you actually cope? If you get flashbacks.
Um, I might verbally say, "Oh, this song reminds me of this," or yeah, I might verbally say something, but it can be a very, like I say, that the whole thing of listening to music for me is something I immerse myself in, and it's something I tend to do when I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Um, I can listen to music completely, and you know, full on, and I can also listen to music with a half cocked ear, and
Yeah.
music that I like, and it's a very pleasant background noise. Um, mm, I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever sat down with somebody and had a song come on, and I've just, I've had I don't think I've ever had an extreme emotional response when somebody's been there. Probably
Right.
because, like with anything else, you tend to behave in a certain way with people. Perhaps you you know you when you're on your own, you can let your guard down, and you can pretty much please yourself with how you choose to react to something. Uh, and that's not to say that I'm ashamed to show emotion, because I'm not. Um, you know, it's been, I think it's been over a year since I last cried, which is quite astonishing for me. And I think that's probably because I'm in, I've been in a better place for about 2 years. The first 6 months of that 2-year period, I did have moments where, I would sort of like think to myself, oh God, I've pulled myself away from X, Y, Z. And sometimes the impact of what happened will hit me. But yeah, like I say, I'm not ashamed to cry. If I felt emotional now, and talking frankly with you about things like this, if I felt the need, if I was sort of like so moved by something, I wouldn't have any qualms about crying on, over the internet, really, because at the end of the day,
you're just a person, isn't you?
Yeah, I don't feel awkward about laughing. I don't feel awkward about being a little embarrassed about certain things when, during our chats we have our little jokes and stuff. And so why should I feel ashamed to cry if that's what's, if that's how I'm feeling?
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Never, Mark, never change. Look, I've got this video about depression I want you to look at.
Okay.
The word depression is sometimes misleading because a lot of the time I don't feel sad. I can have a laugh. I can go out to the park. I can get on with things, but there's just something missing.
Everything in my life was as good as it could reasonably expect it to be. I had a really nice girlfriend. I had a job that I really enjoyed. 6 months into it, I couldn't do it anymore. And it was actually my boss who recognized it in me one day, pulled me into his office and just said, take 2 weeks off. And I came back after 2 weeks and he was like, right, next project, let's get on with it. And I just could not do it. And that's really the first point when I was like, there's something wrong here.
I think I was 15. I became quite withdrawn from people. I'd generally been quite sociable. I was pulling out of activities. And I think for my parents, I think they always said it's something in the eyes. For about 4 years, I was just dead behind the eyes.
Nothing's a quick fix. It's going to be a long time, but the recovery will come. And quick fixes don't work.
It's kind of like when you want to lose weight, isn't it?
Yes.
If you go on a crash diet, you can easily lose whatever, but it will go back on. You do it sensibly, a long period of time,
but
you'll maintain.
I thought before I started reading about it, medication was to fix, the magic pill.
Everything would be okay.
Yeah. The purpose of medication, you're right, is to balance.
Yeah.
Then you can deal with
things.
Then you can be more proactive.
Get to a level that you can just, then you can go outside and you can run and you can, just get to work and but you're at
get
that.
Dressed, have
I had the CBT, which I think for me has been the best. And the results are still showing like a year and a half later.
Because I've just finished a course of CBT, so...
Did you find, because when I was going through it, I was so cynical about it.
The trouble is, did you get the sound right on that video?
Yeah, I picked it up. Yeah, it were a little crackly at the start, but I could. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Sometimes, when we're suffering with depression or mental health, sometimes it's so difficult to show our emotions. And or as you were saying just beforehand about kind of like crying in front of people, because men especially, what they do is they kind of like, well, some men, they kind of like build it up and think, no, I'm all right, and when they're not, and when they go off in their little corner, they will cry, and they will kind of not to show it, or to share it with other people because they're afraid that they might lose the macho-ness in them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
No.
I think if more people were open with their emotions, I'm talking about men in particular, and it's all this. We've spoken about this before. It's this whole man up mentality, which is drilled into boys from a very young age, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's you're basically asking a child, an emotional child, to stop being a human being when you tell them to man up. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's obviously a difference between a child being emotional and crying and a child being hysterical and stamping their feet because that's a different kind of crying. But if a child is hurt, or a child is missing somebody, or a child is frightened of something, that has to be allowed and that has to be accepted. And then the parent's job, or whoever it is that's saying man up, don't be saying that. It's that person's job to help that child process what's going on and to sympathize with that child, because people are different. And I think if you try to keep emotions hidden and suppressed, I just think it's a recipe for disaster, because I think that's when I think that's why a lot of young lads get themselves into trouble, because they have a few drinks when they go out on a weekend, and they've got all this turmoil bubbling up inside them, which could be because they're getting treated badly at work, or because they've got a very bad home life, or they are struggling with something like the sexuality or something like that, which society has programmed them to suppress and to keep down, because it's not what a man does. This is why I think this is why a lot of them just go off the rails, and it just blows up. I think there's a lot to be said for expressing your emotions and letting it out, because there's that old saying, it's better out than in.
Brilliant. Mark, that is brilliant. That's brilliant what you said, because the trouble is, sometimes that's a follow on for next time, because I want to look at emotions next time, and because sometimes we find it difficult to show our emotions. You know what I mean? And
or sometimes we struggle to show the right emotion, and we can react in very inappropriate ways. So that'll be a good thing to talk about.
Mark, it's gone so quick, but thank you so much.
No, thank you, and I'll see you next Monday.
Thank you very much. Yeah, new date, Mark, Memphis. Thank you very much, and see you later, baby.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Take care.
Bye-bye. This is Mark Memphis.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.